In the heart of Lagos, there was a shawarma and barbecue spot that had something no other vendor could explain. From 6 a.m. until midnight, the queue never ended. People came from Lekki, Surulere, even Aja just to taste Alhaji Bello's grills, but what made his meat so sweet would turn your stomach inside out. You want to know what happened, Abi? Oh yeah, subscribe, it's free, oh, please subscribe. In the busy heart of Lagos, where traffic never sleeps and street lights hum like tired bees, there stood a small shack that everyone in Lagos seemed to know. It wasn't fancy, just a wooden stand with a wide iron grill, a few plastic chairs, and a faded umbrella that read Tasty Delights. But once you passed by, the smell alone could stop you in your tracks. They called it Mallam Bello's shawarma and barbecue spot. From 6 a.m. till midnight, the queue outside never ended. The line snaked down the street like a restless python. Office workers in suits, students in hoodies, even women in high heels balancing takeaway packs. People came from Lekki, Surulere, even Aja, just to taste what everyone called heaven in a wrap. The sizzling sound from the grills was like music. Shh. Crackle. The air was thick with the sweet, smoky aroma of roasted meat and melting butter. Children licked their lips. Grown men argued playfully about who came first in line. "Abeg, I don't dey here since 6:30 oh," one man shouted. "Na lie, I see you come when generator don't start," another replied, laughing. But no one ever left. The wait was always worth it. When it was finally your turn, Mallam Bello himself would serve you. A tall man with calm eyes and a slow, confident smile. He always wore a white apron that somehow never stained, no matter how much smoke or grease filled the air. His hands moved like magic, flipping meat, slicing shawarma, brushing each piece with his thick red pepper sauce. "Mallam Bello, wetin you dey use cook this thing? This meat sweet pass anything for this Lagos?" someone once asked. He would only chuckle and reply, "Ah, my brother, na family recipe, special secret passed down for generations." But deep down, everyone wondered. Some swore it was ram meat, perfectly seasoned. Others claimed it was rabbit because of the tenderness. A few whispered that it must be premium goat from the north, yet no one could say for sure, and Bello never explained. The obsession grew every day. Office workers placed bulk orders for lunch meetings. Couples on dates shared one wrap and smiled like they were in paradise. Even pastors, after long evening services, stopped by to grab a quick bite before heading home. It wasn't cheap, entry 500 per wrap, but nobody complained. If you taste Bello's shawarma once, they said, you'll dream of it every night. By evening, when the orange sunset kissed the metal rooftops, the glow from Bello's grill would light up the street. The smoke curled into the sky like incense from a shrine. People started calling him Mallam with the blessed hands. "Mallam Bello never disappoints," they said. "That man's hand the anointing." Yet behind that calm smile, behind the sweet smell that made Lagosians lose their minds, something darker brewed. Once in a while, a customer would vanish from the queue, someone who came alone and was never seen again. People joked about it. "Maybe them don't relocate," they said, but the truth was far from funny. Every night, when the last customer left and Bello locked up his stall, strange sounds came from behind the shop. Low humming, heavy thuds, and sometimes faint screams, but no one dared to ask. After all, in Lagos, if the food's sweet, people don't question the chef. And Mallam Bello's food, it was too sweet to question. Chioma was one of Mallam Bello's most loyal customers. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right after work, she stopped at his stand before heading home. It was her little reward for surviving Lagos traffic and the endless stress at the bank. She loved the soft, spicy shawarma, the smoky barbecue that melted in her mouth, and the way the aroma followed her home like perfume. But one evening, something strange caught her attention. It was almost 11:30 p.m. when she passed by the spot after a late shift. She expected to see Bello closing up, but instead the grills were still glowing faintly, and a white delivery van was parked behind the stand. Two men in dark overalls were unloading large black plastic bags into the back room. The men moved quickly, avoiding eye contact with anyone passing. At first, Chioma thought nothing of it. But when she looked again, she realized something odd. The way Bello stood by the van, his hands behind his back, eyes darting left and right, as though watching for anyone who might be observing. The next morning, she couldn't shake the image from her mind. When she came for lunch later that day, she decided to ask casually. Mallam Bello, she said with a smile. Your meat is always fresh, oh. I beg, where do you buy it? I want to start cooking with that kind at home. For the first time, Bello didn't smile. His face stiffened. He looked up sharply and snapped. Why are you asking? You don't like the taste anymore? Mind your business and enjoy your food. Chioma blinked, taken aback. He had never spoken to her like that. She forced a laugh, trying to lighten the mood, but Bello had already turned away, muttering something in Hausa under his breath. That night, as she lay in bed, the sharpness of his tone replayed in her head. Why was he so defensive about a simple question? Over the next few weeks, small whispers began to spread through the neighborhood. At first, it was just casual talk among the Okada riders and street sellers. You remember that homeless man where they sleep near Market Junction? Him never show face for days now. Even that small girl where they beg for traffic, the fair one with the braids, them say she disappear. By the end of the month, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people missing. It was 4, 3 homeless people who used to sleep near the market vanished without a trace. A 16-year-old runaway girl who often begged near Bello's spot was last seen there one night asking customers for spare change. A drunk man who always bought leftover barbecue after midnight simply disappeared. The police didn't care, and most Lagosians brushed it off. Lagos is big jare, they said. People move around, street people come and go. Stop thinking too much. But Chioma couldn't stop thinking. Every time she bit into Bello's shawarma, something felt off. The meat was too tender, too smooth, almost melting like butter. She had eaten ram, goat, chicken, even rabbit, but this was something else entirely. One Friday evening, while sitting in her car outside the bank, she told her friend Desmond, a freelance journalist, about her suspicions. Desmond was tall, energetic, and always chasing unusual stories for his online crime blog. You think I'm crazy? Chioma asked, half laughing, half serious. Desmond leaned back in his seat and smiled. Crazy stories make the best headlines. Besides, Lagos is full of secrets. Let's see what we find. That night, they parked across the street from Bello's spot in Desmond's small Toyota Corolla. From their position, they had a clear view of the back alley and the grill stand. It was a little past midnight when they saw movement. A white van again, the same one Chioma had seen weeks earlier. 2 men jumped down, opened the back, and started carrying black bags inside. The same routine, quiet, secretive, no lights, no talking. Desmond began recording on his phone. Got it, he whispered. This could be something big. Chioma's heart pounded. Desmond, what if it's just cow meat? We could be overthinking. He smiled faintly. Then we wasted one night. But if we're right... He didn't finish the sentence. They watched for another hour. Bello came out once, looking around the street. His eyes swept over their car, and Chioma froze. For a moment, it seemed like he had noticed them. But then he turned away and went back inside. By 2 a.m., the lights in the back room went off, and the van drove away. Chioma exhaled slowly. I told you, something's not right here. Desmond nodded. Tomorrow night we come earlier. If he's hiding something, we'll find out. As they drove off, the wind carried the faint smell of roasted meat through the open car window. It should have made Chioma hungry, but instead her stomach turned. For the first time since she started eating there, the thought of Bello's shawarma made her feel sick, and she knew deep down this was only the beginning. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday when Desmond finally caught it on camera. He sat hunched in his car across the street, camera rolling, eyes glued to Mallam Bello's shop. Chioma sat beside him, clutching her phone tightly, her palms sweaty. The road was silent except for the hum of distant generators and the occasional barking dog. Then headlights cut through the darkness. A white refrigerated truck, unmarked, slowly pulled up behind Bello's stand. 2 men jumped out, wearing gloves and caps pulled low. They opened the truck's rear doors, releasing a puff of cold mist into the air. Desmond, are you recording? Chioma whispered. Yes, I've got everything, he said, voice tense. Bello appeared moments later, dressed in his usual apron, though it was the middle of the night. He didn't greet them. No one spoke. They began unloading black plastic-wrapped packages, moving quickly, looking around nervously. Something about the way they handled the bags made Chioma's stomach twist. They were heavy, awkward, like the shape inside wasn't solid meat, but something uneven. Then it happened. One of the men slipped. The bag in his arms hit the pavement and tore open. For half a second, no one breathed. A human hand, pale, limp, with red-painted fingernails, rolled out onto the street under the flickering streetlight. Desmond froze. The camera trembled in his hands. Jesus Christ, he whispered. Bello spun around, eyes wide, and in one swift motion scooped up the hand. He looked around frantically, then barked something in Hausa. The men quickly gathered the rest of the packages and rushed them inside. Desmond's heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst. He kept filming, barely able to breathe. Chioma, you were right. You were right. They stayed quiet until the van left. Only then did they dare to start the car and drive away. The next day, Desmond and Chioma met at a small cafe far from Ikea. The footage was shaky, but clear enough. The hand, the truck, Bello's terrified expression. It was all there. Chioma covered her mouth as she watched. My God, she whispered. He's been feeding people. Desmond cut her off. Don't say it here. He looked around. We can't go to the police yet. What if he's paying them off? They'll warn him and he'll disappear. So what do? We need more evidence, something that will end all doubts. If we can get inside that shop, record the freezer, the prep area, we'll have him. Chioma's eyes widened. You want me to go inside there? Desmond nodded slowly. You'll have to. He knows you. You'll say your office wants him to cater an event, offer big money. He'll never say no to that. She swallowed hard. And what if he suspects? Just act normal, curious, professional. The money will make him careless. After a long silence, Chioma nodded. All right, let's do it. 3 days later, Friday, 11 a.m., Chioma arrived at the shawarma spot dressed neatly in a white blouse and skirt, holding a brown envelope. The line was already long, as always, about 30 customers laughing and arguing. The familiar smell of roasted meat filled the air. Bello stood behind the grill, smiling as usual. Ah, my banker customer, long time. Chioma forced a bright smile. Mallam Bello, good morning. I have good news. My office wants you to handle catering for our end-of-month party. N150,000 order. I just brought the deposit. She held out the envelope. Bello's eyes lit up. Ah, big blessing. You people like my food well. Yes, she replied sweetly. But my manager said I must first inspect your kitchen, just to make sure everything is clean and safe for staff. You know office protocols. Bello hesitated for a second, then chuckled. No problem, Madam Banker. You are family customer. You can check small. He turned to serve other customers, distracted by the growing queue. Chioma seized the moment. She slipped past the counter into the back storage area. The smell hit her first, a thick metallic scent that made her stomach turn. Then she saw the large industrial freezer humming in the corner. Slowly, her trembling hands lifted the lid. She gasped. Inside were human body parts, arms, legs, pieces of torsos, butchered, cleaned, and neatly arranged among regular animal meat. Each section was carefully labeled: rib, clean; thigh, tender; arm, soft cut. Her vision blurred with tears. She stumbled back, one hand over her mouth. On a nearby table lay a blood-stained notebook. Her heart pounded as she opened it. Inside were names, dates, and notes written in Bello's handwriting. Homeless man, Victoria Island Bridge, 2:00 a.m. Runaway girl, Oshodi, 11 p.m. Drunk man, Ikeja under bridge, easy catch. Chioma's hands shook violently as she took photos with her phone. Her throat burned as she tried not to scream. Then, a cold voice came from behind her. You should have just enjoyed the food like everyone else. She turned slowly. Mallam Bello stood in the doorway, blocking her exit. His calm smile was gone. In his right hand gleamed a butcher's knife, still wet from the morning's cuts. Chioma's breath caught in her chest. Her phone slipped slightly in her hand. Bello stepped closer. Now you've seen too much. The hum of the freezer filled the silence, and in that moment, Chioma realized she was standing in the kitchen that had fed half of Lagos, with something far worse than hunger waiting for her. Chioma stumbled backward, her hands trembling. Please, don't do this. He took a slow step toward her. Chioma turned and bolted. Her scream tore through the quiet shop. Help! Somebody help me! The knife clattered against the metal counter as Bello lunged forward, chasing her through the prep area. Pots fell, buckets of marinade spilled. The sound of her shoes pounding on the wet floor echoed like gunshots. Stop! He roared. Come back here. Chioma burst through the swinging door into the customer area, breathless and wild-eyed. He's killing people. The meat is human. Check the freezer, she screamed. The crowd froze. For a moment, no one moved. Then murmurs rippled through the queue. Wetin she talk? Na prank? Abi this woman done crazy. Some laughed nervously, but others saw the sheer terror in her eyes and backed away. Behind her, Bello appeared, gripping the knife, chest heaving. The laughter stopped. Customers screamed and scattered, toppling chairs and spilling food. The sweet smell of grilled meat now carried the stench of panic. Outside, Desmond, who had been waiting in his car, saw the commotion and jumped out, camera already recording. He shouted into his phone, DPO, it's happening now. The evidence is inside the shop. Send your men immediately. He dashed closer, filming as Chioma ran into the open street, people shouting and pointing. Bello, realizing the chaos had exposed him, turned to flee through the back door. But 3 men, regular customers who had eaten there for years, stepped in his way. Mallam, what's going on? One asked. What is she saying about human meat? Bello froze. For a split second he looked cornered, eyes darting between the men and the exit. Then, in a desperate burst, he tried to push past them, but one man tackled him to the ground. The knife clattered across the floor. Somebody call police, another shouted. Hold them tight. Within 8 minutes, police sirens wailed through the streets of Ikeja. The officers stormed in, guns drawn, pushing the crowd back. Desmond ran to meet them, shoving his phone into their hands. I have the video. He's been killing people. Check the freezer. One officer, sweating and tense, moved toward the back room. He opened the industrial freezer. What he saw made him stumble backward and vomit. Everybody step back! This is a crime scene, he shouted. The crowd outside gasped. Some people who were still eating dropped their shawarma and spit it out immediately. Others clutched their stomachs in horror. A woman fainted, collapsing onto the pavement. I've been eating here for 2 years. Oh God, I fed this to my children. The once busy street turned into chaos. People screaming, vomiting, crying, and running to nearby chemists to buy anything that might clean their system. 2 officers dragged Bello out in handcuffs. His white apron was stained with blood. His face was calm, almost detached. Why? One officer barked. Why did you do this? Bello looked up, his voice low and emotionless. Business was failing, he said quietly. Then I discovered this special meat. Nobody complained. Everyone loved it. I was just giving people what they wanted. The officers exchanged horrified glances. As the crowd shouted curses, Desmond turned his camera toward the signboard above the stand. Tasty Delights. The name now looked sickening. Days later, the full story broke nationwide. Forensic investigators uncovered the truth. 47 victims over 3 years. The supplier was identified as Tunde, a mortuary attendant who had been selling unclaimed bodies to Bello. But when supply ran short, he began hiring a small gang to kidnap and kill vulnerable people, homeless individuals, runaways, and addicts. Tests confirmed what Chioma had feared most. Bello's meat was a mixture. 60% human, 40% animal. Across Lagos, people who had eaten there rushed to hospitals. Dozens received emergency therapy. Some developed PTSD, unable to eat meat again for years. The spot was shut down immediately. Days later, bulldozers arrived and demolished the building under police supervision. Religious leaders, both Christian pastors and Muslim imams, gathered to pray and cleanse the ground, sprinkling holy water and reciting verses under the blazing sun. Mallam, Bello, and Tunde were both sentenced to death by hanging. But for Chioma and Desmond, the images never left their minds. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life inspired tales that expose the hidden sides of society. Drop a comment. What would you have done if you were Chioma?